Imagine right now that you are on top of the world. You got everything you've ever wanted, and life overall is just going splendidly. Now imagine in just a few years everything crumbling down with no light at the end of the tunnel. All of that work you put into that life you had before? Gone. For many, that would be a nightmare, but currently that is the reality of the Philadelphia Phillies. My name is Gage Karengo, and you are listening to the What Happened podcast. Let us start way back in 2008. The Philadelphia Phillies had just won the World Series. During that season, they got a career year out of closer Brad Lidge, who went a perfect 41 for 41 during the regular season and was perfect in the playoffs as well. The Phillies went on to make the World Series in 2009, but lost it to the New York Yankees in just 6 games.
To second baseman Cano. The Yankees are back on top. World champions for the 27th time.
After this, the Phillies began their slow decline. In 2010 and 2011, the Phillies made the playoffs, but were eliminated in lower rounds each time. In 2011 specifically, the Phillies lost to the eventual world champion St. Louis Cardinals. During the final out, first baseman Ryan Howard tore his left Achilles tendon.
Ground ball to the right side. Punto has it. And running over, and the Cardinals have done it. And Ryan Howard is down. He is hurt. Halfway between home and first base.
Little did the Phillies know this was the beginning of the end for the current core, and it would eventually snowball into a complete rebuild. My first Phillies game was actually in 2012, a year that the Phillies had not yet called for a rebuild. I do not remember much from the game, but it was one against the Cardinals in early August in which Juan Pierre walked it off. The Phillies went on to finish 81-81 that year and decided it was best to go into a rebuild. The rebuild came along as the Phillies lost their dominant stretch. The main reasons the Phillies lost this stretch were because of 3 huge factors. The first factor was over-reliance on aging veterans, the second factor was player regression, and the third and final factor? The Phillies did not have enough young talent to allow the team to retool properly, whether through calling up those young guys to make an impact or trading them for players who would. I want all of you to keep this in mind for later. Throughout this rebuild, there were some hits and a lot of misses. There were a lot of players the Phillies hoped would have long-term impacts on the team. Some hits included right-handed pitcher Aaron Nola and first baseman Rhys Hoskins. The Phillies during this period of 2013 to 2021 also made some notable trades, acquiring the likes of right-hand pitcher Zach Eflin, catcher JT Realmuto, among others. The development side was a little rough for a while though. Odubel Herrera, Scott Keener, and Mickey Moniak are the 3 big names that just did not end up developing for the Phillies. In February 2019, the Phillies signed star outfielder Bryce Harper to a monster 13-year, $330 million deal, finding their star player to rally their players around. Over the next couple of seasons, roughly 2019 to 2021, the Phillies would hover around 500. However, the Phillies could never quite break into the playoffs despite improving upon their record in every full season. This sets the stage for 2022. After the 2021 season, the Phillies signed outfield sluggers Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos in an attempt to bolster their offense. However, in 2022, the Phillies started out poorly, going 22-29 through May, and firing manager Joe Girardi. After Girardi's exit, the Phillies went on a magical run, going 65-46 under the interim manager Rob Thomson, and making the postseason for the first time since 2011. In the playoffs, the Phillies won upset after upset, first facing the St. Louis Cardinals, then the Atlanta Braves, and then finally the San Diego Padres.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Bryce Harper. Suarez delivers. Swing and a drive. Left field. It's deep. It's going. Yes. And it is gone. Yes. It is bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
However, the Phillies were unable to take the World Championship from the Houston Astros and ended up losing the series 4-2. Since that World Series, the Phillies have gone up in regular season wins, but have not been able to get back to the World Series. After choking a 2-0 and a 3-2 lead in the 2023 NLCS, the Phillies have not even made it back there. In 2024, they lost to the New York Mets in 4 games in the NLDS, and then the same result occurred in 2025, but this time to the eventual world champion Los Angeles Dodgers.
No ball. Has breaks his back. Kirkring gotta find it. Throws to the plate. Oh my goodness! He throws it away, and the Dodgers have won.
Despite this, the Phillies had improved in wins from 2022 to 2025, winning 96 games in 2025. Surely you would think that the Phillies would be good in 2026, right? Well, you, my friend, would be incorrect. As of the time of this recording, the Phillies have a 9-18 record. So what has caused this team to go through such a poor stretch? Well, you'd be surprised, but it's actually quite simple. Do you remember the three main reasons why the Phillies had to go into a rebuild back in 2012? The current Phillies team has been suffering from a lot of the same issues. A huge issue lies in the fact that their role players are not living up to the players they should be. The big guns Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper have been doing decently, but not spectacularly, certainly enough to keep the team afloat. The primary issue lies in third baseman Alec Bohm, the go-to cleanup hitter for the past 4 seasons. Bohm has been hitting a measly 149 average along with just a 429 OPS. Some other issues include second baseman Bryson Stott. Stott has been slightly better but still not good. He has a 224 batting average and a 548 OPS. Both Bohm and Stott primarily rest in the 700 plus OPS territory, so their lack of an impact also hurts the club even despite their relatively young age compared to the rest of the roster. This causes the team to overly rely on aging veterans, such as Schwarber, Realmuto, Harper, and shortstop Trey Turner. Sound familiar? Well, here's another huge aspect, the pitching. Both starting-wise and bullpen-wise, a lot of these guys have gone through just plain regression. A huge example being starter Jesus Luzardo as well as reliever Tanner Banks. Both of these guys have gone from great pitchers to struggling early. Luckily, Luzardo is likely to bounce back, as are the other starters in Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez, and Andrew Painter. So, how will the Phillies break out of this slump? If they ever will. While the same issues crop up with this Phillies team, the Phillies now appear to be in a much better spot, especially with prospects. At the same time, these players are likely to regress back to their norm, especially players like Stott. He's still only 28. Not to mention, pitcher Andrew Painter and center fielder Justin Crawford are finding ways to contribute, even despite their young age. Same with Felix Reyes and Alex McFarlane. With prospects Aiden Miller, Gage Wood, Arun Escobar, Dante Nori, as well as an owner willing to spend to win, the Phillies should be able to contend still into the late 2020s, even if they have to retool. Remember that the 2012 team did not have as much of an ability to retool due to their farm system being drained. Of course, only time will tell if those prospects pan out for Philadelphia, but the path ahead is much brighter than it was back then in 2012. So even if the Phillies fail to make the postseason this year, I would not count them out moving forward. This was Gage Karenga on the What Happened podcast. I wish you all a restful day. Remember to drink lots of water and stay safe.